Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and happy Thanksgiving if you're here in the US. If you're not here in the US, welcome back. Today is a day here that us in the US are celebrating, with family and friends. It's about feasting and being thankful for what you have and what you've accomplished this year. And there's a lot to be thankful. I mean, obviously we're in good health. We're, here doing things that we love to do. And again, I'm hoping that you all enjoy your holiday. Well, nonetheless, I wanted to go through and talk about a little fun article I did on Mopar Insiders that you guys are actually seeing here on the channel before it comes out this afternoon. This was a fun little thing I did. It's the 10 things that we're thankful for this Thanksgiving in the Mopar world. And there's a lot to be thankful for if you're a Mopar fan this year. So I wanted to highlight 10 things that kind of stood out so far this year. I mean, we still have another month. But, with Thanksgiving, I figured, hey, let's talk about some of the fun things. And you may disagree with me a little bit, but that's the whole fun part about this being an opinion piece on the website. So if you have something different in your mind or you think that there's something better, you can leave it in the comments below, and I'm more than happy to read them. But anyways, these are the 10 things that we're thankful for this Thanksgiving in the Mopar world. So let's just briefly go through them real quick. The first one is Antonio Filosa refocusing Stellantis on North America. So one of the most impactful changes this year was Antonio Filosa stepping in as the new CEO of Stellantis. He wasted no time putting Chrysler Group's operations and U.S. production back in the spotlight, signaling a huge shift from the previous years. Under Filosa, the company is finally acknowledging the strength and loyalty of the North American customer and giving Mopar brands the investment and product attention they deserve. Early moves like Detroit and the Midwest product guarantees, a revived motorsports presence, and strong emphasis on brand identity show that enthusiasts are once being heard again. That alone is something to be thankful for. So, again, I'm really happy Antonio's in place. He's basing all of his operations out of North America. It's a huge, massive change for the company and the North American market. The second thing that we're thankful for is the return of the 5.7-liter Hemi V8 in the 2026 Ram 1500. Yes, I talk about this engine being old, but again, it is a very important part of the Ram 1500 lineup. Again, Tim Kuniskis said that there was a huge percentage of people that said that they would not come back to the Ram brand if they did not have a V8. And with the 5.7-liter V8 being back, Ram fans spoke up and Stellantis listened. And after originally phasing out the Hemi in favor of the twin-turbo Hurricane inline-6 engines, the brand reversed course and confirmed that the legendary 5.7-liter is back for 2026. Now, we followed this one closely. It's a huge win for truck buyers who want choice, sound, and tradition under the hood. Now, whether it's towing, hauling, or just laying down a healthy rumble at a stoplight, the Hemi isn't done yet. Now, the third thing that we're thankful for is Ram's return to NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series competition. We know NASCAR's a mess. We know that, everybody hates the playoffs and, there's controversy after controversy coming out of NASCAR, but performance is in Ram's DNA. Obviously, it was part of Dodge before 2009. Almost said 2020. Oh my God. 2009. But after years away from, the NASCAR Truck Series, the brand is officially climbing back into the grid and partnering with Kaulig Racing, so Ram will return to the track with factory support and a strong development plan. So this move reconnects Ram with hardcore motorsports fans and gives Dodge and Ram fans someone to cheer for again on race weekends. It also tees up the future involvement in even bigger NASCAR arenas, like obviously we know Dodge is going back to Cup. So this is going to be a storyline that we are going to be covering every lap of the way next year. Now, the fourth thing we're very thankful for is Jeep, because it's restructuring its pricing for real-world customers. It's a very obvious problem that Jeep has had with its pricing structure, and, this year the Jeep lineup got a major overhaul in its pricing structure. It wasn't just small tweaks, but we reported on how Jeep slashed or rebalanced pricing across the Wrangler, Gladiator, Compass, Grand Cherokee, and pretty much everything in its lineup to better match market conditions and consumer budgets. And with interest rates kind of staying the same, affordability is becoming a bigger issue in the industry as, prices continue to climb. So this move really showed that Jeep is willing to adjust rather than price out loyal drivers out of the brand. So that's respect, and it's a welcome return to the Jeep's actual roots. Now, the fifth thing probably is one of the biggest things. This was hard to put it at number 5, but again, it was one of the big highlights of the year. And I know that they're still working with the Canadian government trying to figure out what's going to happen to Brampton. And Windsor is actually just adding a third shift now. But there is a lot of things hopefully going on with Canada as well. But it was nice to see that they put a massive $13 billion investment in the U.S. manufacturing footprint. So few things show commitment more than money, and Stellantis put its cash where its cars are. So this recently announced $13 billion investment into U.S. manufacturing secures thousands of jobs while guaranteeing American assembly for Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and possibly even Chrysler vehicles through the next decade. Now, Belvidere's rebirth, new engine development in Indiana, and new product rolling out through Michigan are all major wins for the company. Now, number 6 was a big one because I've been a very huge custodian for the new Dodge Charger. I own a Dodge Charger Daytona, as you guys all know, and I got a chance to drive the new SIXPACK cars, and it was a game changer. I seriously believe that this car will be the resurgence of the new Dodge Charger. I think this is going to be redemption for that car, and I have a lot of high hopes for it. But, Dodge has officially proven that you can build a muscle car for the future without losing the muscle. The upcoming six-pack, Scat Pack features the twin-turbo Hurricane high-output inline-six, and it proves that you don't need a Hemi under the hood to have a very powerful muscle car. So after driving it and spending extensive time behind the wheel, it is clear that it's not a compromise, it's more of an evolution with attitude. So the six-pack models deliver real speed, real sound, and real fun. Now, number 7 was a huge one. Chrysler is going multi-energy. Now, originally the plans for the Chrysler brand were to be an all-EV brand by 2028. And a lot of people were pretty upset about that. Now, after Carlos Tavares left the company, it became clear that Chrysler wasn't going to go EV anytime soon. So with that being said, we reached out to Christine Fuel, the Chrysler CEO, and she actually wrote back to us confirming that they were going to go multi-energy. So we broke that news on Mopar Insiders. It was a huge article for us, but it's good because now they're going to offer hybrids and internal combustion power alongside EV power. They're not abandoning EVs, but they are going to offer it alongside of it. So we highlighted Chrysler's renewed mission statement about blue-collar luxury, which was another big thing that I've been really trying to push Chrysler to go back to, and it seems like that's their new focus again, going back to how it was in the past where it was the affordable luxury brand. So I can't wait for that, but its decision supports families, commuters, and real-world buyers who need that affordability and convenience. So Chrysler is building a lineup meant for North Americans and not forcing us to change faster than the world can support. Number 8 was a huge one for enthusiasts. SRT is back. So we've been talking about it for a while, but everybody's asked us, when is SRT returning? When are they coming back? Well, Stellantis answered, and a dedicated performance team is being reestablished under the Chrysler Group umbrella. So that means real street and racing technology products will be in dealers very, very soon. And we're actually going to see 2 Ram ones here very, very soon. So SRT badges should once again represent horsepower, handling, and heritage. The idea of future SRT Chargers, SRT SUVs, and factory-built track toys hitting dealerships once more, that is pure gratitude fuel. Number 9, the return of the Cherokee nameplate. Now, the Cherokee is one of the most recognizable and respected names in Jeep history. The 2026 Jeep Cherokee KM will revive that name on an all-new, highly capable midsize model engineered for today's customers. New platform, new tech, new power options, which is going to be all hybrid for its first year, but it's with real Jeep DNA. It's a return that honors legacy instead of replacing it. And I had a chance to check out this vehicle several times already. It was at the media launch of it. I was at Detroit 4Fest and dug around on it. You can watch several videos about that vehicle, and I'm highly impressed with how it's laid out. Is it the best Jeep SUV ever? I don't know. I haven't driven it yet, but it has a lot of promise to be probably one of the most popular Jeeps in the lineup. Now, number 10. We've talked about this quite a bit, and we just did a recent video on the channel. Chrysler's 100th anniversary and a real plan to grow. So Chrysler is not dead. A lot of people keep saying, oh, Chrysler's dead because it only has the minivan lineup. Chrysler's actually doing better than Dodge this year with sales. The minivans have proven that they are still loved by families, by adventure people who want just capable vehicles that have room. They are the Swiss Army knife of vehicles out there. And again, Chrysler's going beyond that. So they hit their 100-year milestone this year. It was a big celebration, and we've been following, Chrysler CEO Christine Fuel throughout the year, and she's been actually releasing a lot of details about the future of the Chrysler brand. So she's basically said that, a highly detailed kind of structure of a product map. Pacifica's getting an update. There's going to be a new crossover. There's going to be actually potential of 2 crossovers, one a midsize and one a compact crossover, a new sedan, and they're even looking at basically a $30,000 car. So again, there's a lot of things going on with the Chrysler brand, and hopefully we'll hear more about it in the future. But nonetheless, it sounds like with a multi-energy strategy and new product line coming, Chrysler is going to be a huge player in the market very, very soon. So as Mopar fans, we've seen uncertainty the past few years, product delays, EV confusion, factories pausing for retooling, but this year we finally felt the momentum shift. We got noise back, racing's back, strategy's back, leadership's back, and most importantly, we got hope back. So again, let me know what you think of these 10 little things down below. If yours are different, if you got something that you want to highlight, make sure to post it down below. Again, have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy it. And, stay safe out there. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.